Hey guys, this is Em. We're talking kids ministries. Today we're talking about lesson ideas. We did a lesson for the feeding of the 5,000 and then into Jesus calming the sea. Obviously the focus was on a couple of different things, but the last verse when Jesus got back into the boat and we see about the disciples, they had hardened their heart and they missed the miracle of feeding the 5,000, and they missed, because there's lessons within the miracles, they missed that. And so for the feeding the 5,000, obviously we had the little boy's lunch. The little boy's lunch came with an esky, and we actually did a fake bottom in the esky. So you can't see it now because I've thrown it in the bin. But we had shortbread biscuits for our loaves, because that's shortbread, right? Or we had drumstick crackers, which looks like a fish. And it was so cool because I opened it up, I had a fake bottom covering all of the rest, and in that fake bottom was just cut like a thicker piece of paper, folded and cut down to fit perfect down the bottom to cover all my all my excess. Then I had a plate on top with 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or should I say 5 shortbreads and 2 fish. Alright, so this was funny because as I'm talking through the story and I'm breaking bread, I actually got one of the little kids to pray. They prayed, I broke the bread, and I had serviettes out, they all had it, and each one was getting different things. As I broke the bread, none of them realized, but there was obviously starting to grow, and I said, so you're not allowed to eat it until we've all finished. Then I started to put the fish out. Next minute, one of the little kids pipes up and says, wait a minute, there was only 2 fish and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish, and there was only 2 before. And I said, yeah, that's the point of the miracle. It was more than what there was. And so we shared about that, and it was interesting to see the kids' reactions. It was very funny. It was very coming to life, if you would. And so it was a great way to make the story come to life. Now, for the part about hardening their heart. Obviously, when we did the calming of the sea first, we had the disciples toiling in the wind. Obviously, our verse was in Mark. I think it was Mark chapter 6, maybe. Anyway, so they're toiling. So we had some tables set up with some tablecloths around it to make the shape of a boat with the chairs laid out inside. And each one had a pool noodle. And so they were rowing their boat. It was hilarious because they're rowing their boat. And then we also had a blue wave coming up and spraying them with a water bottle. And they're like, ah! And they were loving it. They're smiling, which you're not supposed to be smiling when you're toiling, but they were loving the coming to life. And as they're rowing, they're like, I'm going backwards. And it was hilarious because obviously the boat never moved because it was tables. And so they got the point about the boat not going far and Jesus coming up to them. But the part about the hardening is something that I've not done before. I'd made almost got it everywhere. I'd made a liquid, and obviously it looks runny. Obviously it's been sitting overnight now, so it looks a bit disgusting. But it looks a little runny, but what happens is, I have not mixed it, but it's actually hard liquid. You can see it's all crunched. If I crunch it, you can see it's hard liquid. But if you sit it, it will eventually start to run again. And so you can actually, I said, so what happens if I punch water? Are you guys all gonna get wet? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna get wet, we're gonna get wet. And I went like this, and I went to punch the water, and they all stepped back because they were scared of getting wet. And so I punched it, and obviously it didn't splash. And I was like, but now if you put your fingers in it, it soaks into it. And so it was a really cool thing to do, and they like to play with it. And they're like, I wish I didn't touch it. But at the same time, after cleaning their hands, they're like, can I touch it again? So it was kind of funny. And it was unique. It was a unique way to teach it. It was something that they could actually handle and touch. And it was a good example of hardening their hearts. As we'd been learning about Bible before breakfast at kids conference. And so we were talking about things they remembered or learnt from kids conference, and not hardening your heart towards that, but remembering it and practicing it. And so it was a good lesson about hardening. I don't know if you've ever tried this. This is quite simple. This was starch. There's 2 different starches you can get from the shops. Something starts with T, and then another one's potato. bought the one that starts with T. It is so much cheaper, and it actually says that it works better. So you use like 2 cups of that to 1 cup of water. So I ended up just pouring the whole packet in, which was 500 grams, which probably would have been 2 cups anyway. And then I ended up pouring a little more water and then 1 cup. So I did 1 cup, and then I filled up another one and started just making sure I mixed it as I went. Obviously mixing it, you're supposed to mix it with your spoon, but I gave up, started mixing it with my hands because it didn't mix too easy. Obviously it was fun, and I would definitely use this again. They said you could add food color. The problem with adding food color is obviously as it gets on your hands and different things, it can stain. So we just left it white or clear as it worked, and it was a lot of fun. So if you want to try something different for your kids' lesson ideas, give it a shot. If you're teaching something about a hard heart, whether it's Pharaoh who hardened his heart, or whether it's the disciples who hardened their heart, it's a great object lesson within that. So have a good one.